Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Haden Starbuck, Creatrix and Creativity Coach. Please enjoy Haden Starbuck. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Haden Starbuck, Creatrix and Creativity Coach. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Wonderful. I'm super excited to chat with you all about creativity. But before we get there, if you could just take a few minutes to share a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Oh my goodness. Well, I chose the word creatrix because at some point I was working in so many different mediums, they did not fit on my business card anymore. So for the past 25 years, I've been a silversmith, felter, weaver, dyer, spinner, and that's how I made the bulk of my income. Then one day I woke up and I wanted to be a writer. So I started working on creativity. I thought was my biggest obsession, I would say, in this life. So I've gotten completely into helping other people with figuring out creativity for themselves and opening to that. So,
oh my gosh, I love that. That's amazing. And you kind of pre-creativity, you were very creative in terms of the expression and fiber works. How did you get into felting and weaving and all of that?
You know, I live in this little tiny town and I showed up with basically no discernible way to earn a living that paid more than minimum wage and weird hours. And so I just made my own job. And I in college, I'd kind of gotten interested in following something a bit more creative instead of traditional routes. But yeah, I just made my own job. So this town helped birth the artist that I am.
I love it. And I love that the creativity in creating your own career, your own job. I think so many people get bogged down, or I'm using big air quotes, buy in to the societal normative lifestyle that can be really limiting and hard and sad. And so it sounds like you said, not going to do that. I'm going to do me. And this is what it is.
Well, I think it's only limiting and sad if that's not really what you want. But a lot of times we have to choose in our 20s. And what the heck do we know in our 20s, right?
Nothing.
We think we know everything. But in hindsight, just a little bit of decades between us. Yeah, it's just, if you're in a place where you can say, what do I really want? Yeah. And I don't know that I knew what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. So, in running away from what I didn't want, I ended up with something I wanted, if that makes
That makes sense. No, I get that. Sometimes we aren't 100% sure on what we want, but we know what we don't want.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, what does it mean to you to be creative?
Well, I think exactly that. Just taking the time to listen to yourself. And I think this past year has been an excellent opportunity for this. What do you really want? And then finding a way to make that happen. Because that path isn't always this big paved highway where everybody's on it and there's lots of big signs that say go this way for this result. And if it is a big highway with go this way for this result, it's probably not your way. It's someone else's. Unless you're that type of person, and I don't know those people, so good on ya.
I like it. Yeah, choosing your own path.
Yeah. So creativity is figuring out what you want and finding a way to make that happen.
Any tips on how to make it happen?
Oh, well, it depends on what it is, right? Gosh, a lot of research. Research is fun. Showing up, trying stuff.
Yeah.
Failing, trying something else. It's like looking for that. It's a dance, right? And you're looking for that sweet spot that just feels right, where it's like the whole universe opens up and says, oh, this way, this way, my child. Here's the yellow brick road. Here, have a nectarine. It's all good.
I love it. And yeah, as you were talking, just having that the universe open up, I definitely noticed myself like, yeah, I want more of that. That sounds great.
I got goosebumps.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, we don't have many opportunities, or at least maybe some people have many opportunities to walk through those doors or feel like they have them, but I don't know that we really do get a lot of those.
You have to make it. I mean, this last moment in time was definitely an opportunity that the earth gave us.
Right.
To take a break and look at what we're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do famous people say? You become famous overnight, except that you just spent 10 years working really hard to get to that point where all of a sudden you're famous overnight. So it's showing up and doing the work and showing up and showing up and showing up, and then boom.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah. So that makes me think of, how people assume, Albert Einstein just discovered randomly, had this epiphany moment or light bulb. You have these light bulb moments, and yet we forget how much time and effort got you to that quotes again, light bulb moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's so much more that goes into being creative or creativity than people believe or think. Also,
yeah, I mean, I think it's just to come back to that whole path concept. It's just a series of choices and decisions. I mean, if you decide that you're creative and then you open yourself up to being creative, then you are creative. You look for creative ways to solve things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do it.
Well, I think more people should do it.
Too.
And I think it's great to, it's a way of looking at life, I think. And it's a unique way of looking at life to see it through creative eyes.
I kind of don't think it is. I kind of think that we show up on the planet this way. I mean, look at little kids. They play imaginary games, and I mean, there's no end to their creativity. Right. We start off this way. A lot of us kind of got sidetracked, and we need to work our way back to who we actually are.
I do agree with you on that. So I guess it's not as unique as I'd like to believe that it is.
It shouldn't be.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of people have let that go, and it's sad. So
yeah.
Stop it.
Well, speaking of childhood, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
This was such a funny question for me, because obviously there's all that play you do as a kid.
Yeah.
So that's lovely. But I decided that the thing I want to focus on is that first moment where I took myself and my creativity seriously.
Yeah.
Where I was conscious of the fact that, instead of just playing and this is all good, I was consciously making something in the moment. I acknowledged myself as, I don't think I would have used the word artist, but my dad gave me a camera when I was fairly young. And, when you're playing and you're dancing and whatever, it's expansive. But with a camera, you're narrowing your entire focus down to this little tiny, they were 3x5 cameras then. They're whole different era. But anyway, cameras still do that. But I had to look through the lens, and it's like, what do I want to see in this lens? And by limiting down the entire universe into this little box, I think that's the first moment where I consciously created.
Nice. How old were you?
I'm so bad with linear time. Probably junior high.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I'd been creating up till then, but that was the first
conscious
conscious.
experience. Yeah.
What do I really want to see here? What do I really want to focus on? What interests me?
Yeah. I like that distinction between, childhood, we have all the play and imaginative and rough and tumble and fantasy, but that distinction of going from that space into a choice and a consciousness of here's what I'm doing with this.
Yeah. Like something clicked in that moment.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank goodness it did, I still got sidetracked by stuff.
Sure. Who doesn't? Yeah.
I make my way back.
Yeah. I guess that's part of the journey, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And creativity is a journey. I believe it is a journey
Well, I think early on, I really wanted to be a writer. And I think when I got to high school and college, I realized I don't have anything to write about. I better go live a life.
Oh.
So that was my excuse. I kind of sucked at writing, I think. Or I was self-conscious about it. So then coming back in my 40s, I started writing again. And now it's fun. It's like, I have a million stories now.
Yeah, go and live the life. What are some of your stories that you write about?
Well, at the moment, everything I'm writing about is about creativity. So it kind of comes back to that. But yeah, I think the stuff that really interests me is, just like that moment with the camera, all the things where my perspective got expanded or shifted or, it's kind of like raising a spiritual being, all the things, the little milestones in that, I think probably what interests me the most.
Nice. Yeah, I'm struck by just kind of that, you keep coming back to that narrowing and focusing piece. And I guess it's a different view of creativity, because for me, creativity is very expansive and big. And not to say that it isn't that way for you, but I'm curious, do you think that the boundaries of the camera apparatus and structure really shifted creative experience for you?
I don't know about that. And, it could just be that all of our brains are wired differently, which they probably are. But for me, this is a really good example. I was, because I was a weaver, I wanted to dye my own yarn. And I used to get colors that didn't work from a factory where they spun their own yarn. And I love to dye on top of their colors. One time I ordered white yarn and I panicked. I didn't know what to do with it, because instead of having a gray or a blue or a purple or something to play off of, I had so many possibilities. It's almost like I shut down. Like that blank canvas or that empty page, that people get all scared about. It was a little too much. It's almost like I needed a seed that gets planted and then I can work out from there. So it's boundaries, but it's a starting point.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes having too much or too big of too many options.
Where do you start?
Right, can feel a little paralyzing of how do I create something, or what do I do with all of these options? Yeah.
So it's almost like a grounding rod. I think I need that initial thing, and then poof, everything explodes from there. I never ordered white yarn again. Ever. And a canvas, I'll put some paint on it first just to do it, or scribble on paper. Interesting. Wow. We're all different. Who knew?
We are. I love that. I love hearing about your process and what that is, and because it's so different than my process, and my process is so different than someone else's process. And how do you step into that process?
I work in a lot of different mediums. So for me, it really depends on what feels good that day. And then it sort of starts off as play, unless I have a deadline, in which case I just make myself do it. The outside structure comes, that I built. Obviously, I signed up for those deadlines. So just showing up with the materials and what's at hand and exploring it until it's almost, I keep coming back to paths. It's like exploring and playing with it until something becomes really obvious. It's like, oh, let's go that way.
Mm-hmm. Is it like a tactile play experience for you, or is it a mental play experience?
Depends on what I'm doing. If I'm writing, it's more mental. If it's jewelry, I do a lot of bezel setting with rocks. So I like to lay the rocks out. So then it's very tactile. But it's a full sensory thing, I think.
Yeah.
Some mediums lean towards some senses more than others.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's very cool
and then add magic and serendipity and some other stuff. And
ooh, it's a little alchemy adventure happening.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. I think we need more of that, more alchemy, more magic, more opportunities.
So yes.
I love it. That's so great. Well, in all of your creative expressions, what is inspiring you these days?
I think what's inspiring me is figuring out ways to inspire other people. Because what I saw when we've had a rough few years here in this country, I just saw people getting really fearful or depressed, or it's like they were all focusing on the bad things. And there's always stuff, life always throws us a whole mix of stuff. And for me, it was like, let's just shift that focus over this way a little. It was, for instance, if it's spring, it's like all these new things are growing and the earth is just bursting out with beauty. The birds are singing, the sky, the clouds are amazing. So I think right now for me, it's really about helping people get out of their own way as far as just that that static that just not good. I mean, you need it, but not focus on that full time. Just switch over into the fun stuff. Play.
I know. How do you get adults to play?
Well, not everybody's ready. So that's interesting, which I don't get. It's like, why don't you want to? And we all have our different ways that we want to play. So I think the people that are ready and the people that are attracted to what I do, they just find me. They just show up and it works. But like leading the horse to water thing, you can't. You will play. You will have fun now.
Right.
They've got to be ready. They've got to be in a space where they're ripe for that, where they want it. So
how do you think that you have sustained play in your life for so long?
It's fun.
Okay.
The other option I don't like so much. I mean, I'm human, so I've done as much craziness as the next person and let that pendulum swing to the other way. But I'm happier and more at peace and more open to the magic and thrillingness of life if I do give myself that. So it's a conscious choice.
Yeah.
For sure.
Great.
Whew. Yeah, it's worked.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way it is. Yeah.
Could you say more about like the work, having to work to play a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody comes to you and they offer you this thing and you think that's amazing, if you just sit with it for a while, you might find that although that's an amazing thing, maybe it's not amazing for you in this moment, in this time. Yeah. Maybe right this minute, you just need to walk in the woods or go to the beach or pick up the paintbrush or whatever it is that. So it's kind of work in the way of being conscious and checking in with yourself and just saying, right this minute, right now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, right this minute, what's going to satisfy my needs?
Yeah, that self-awareness piece keeps coming back. So many people bring up the self-awareness piece, and it's a huge component in my life too.
We've been doing a lot of it for the past year, so
It's true.
it's on our minds.
Yeah. But it's interesting how much self-awareness shows up with creativity and acknowledging that flow that happens and being aware of what is happening for you as a human. And
I mean, I think so much of creativity is a dance.
yeah.
And dancing without music or a partner or a dance floor, whatever, without those elements, then what are you actually doing? So it's,
Yeah.
the awareness is, oh, red feels really good today if you're painting, or, I want to write in rhyme today, or it's not just you're creating with elements and mediums and a community, and you're not in a bubble. So
How do you personally, it sounds like if you on a Monday have red feels good to paint with, how do you trust that? Like there seems to be a lot of trust that shows up in yourself of like, I'm going to trust that I need to paint in red today.
Yeah, that's been a big one for me this past year. Because it's a leap of faith, isn't it? But I think if I can use the past as an example for me personally, I'm happy with where I am. So I must have made some good decisions to get here. So I must have trusted myself to get here. So can I trust myself to go forward? But you can also start playing with the red, and in 5 minutes, if it isn't working, fine. Or for instance, with the jewelry, I'll make a series of something. I'll make just a few. I'll show them to my community. And if nobody buys them, I probably won't make that again, or I'll switch it up. So community's good for feedback.
Yeah.
But who are you creating for? Are you creating for yourself or someone else? If you're creating for yourself, then if red feels good, do red.
Yeah. No, it's good, but I think that it's hard to trust ourselves sometimes, and being able to have that self-awareness of, I'm going to trust that in this next moment, yes, red is feeling what I want to do. And then after that, maybe it's something else. But
so what about this? It's a lot of people, part of why I got into helping people with creativity is I'd have so many people at art shows tell me they weren't creative. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, that's not right. I want to swear right now, but that's BS.
You can swear. It's fine.
Okay. That's bullshit. We're all creative, and it's like a muscle. And the same thing with trusting yourself. It's just a muscle. You just go to the trust yourself gym. You go to the creativity gym, and you keep showing up, and you keep working your muscles. And the next thing you know, you have beautiful six pack. Yeah. I trust myself muscles. Beautiful thighs and whatnot of creativity muscles. It's just, keep
I love
up,
that.
Keep practicing.
Go to the trust gym. Sorry.
And surround yourself by people that believe in you, that are your cheerleaders. If you surround yourself by people that are making you feel tiny, you're not going to want to go to the gym. You're going to make your job that much harder. Don't make your job that much harder.
Yeah. What a great reminder and good tips. Go to your creativity and trust gyms on a regular basis.
Oh my goodness.
There's definitely an SNL sketch in there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking I named all the things in my life wrong. I should have put gym at the end. Maybe that'll be the next evolution.
I love it. Well, what are some of your everyday issues that you use creativity to solve?
I would say the biggest ones that have come to me lately are training a new dog. I mean, oh my gosh, because you have to think like them, and you have to find ways to work. I mean, obviously, I don't know how dogs think, right? Although I'm sure books have been written about it. But finding a way to work with him that works for him, but gets the results I want. A friend of mine's got a new baby. Oh my gosh, raising a child, most creative thing in the world.
Yeah.
One more quick example. I became single about 49 or 50. And I, after doing the normal, I sat down and I thought, my life it's just a painting or a script so who are the cast of characters I want? What's the plot line? What sort of conversations and narrative do I want? And I just started thinking of it that way. And then it wasn't so bad. I didn't take it as seriously, I guess.
Yeah. Or there was more play in it.
There's more play. And to see it as a moving, rotating, fluid thing as opposed to something static. Single at 50. It's like, no, yay, single at 50.
Rewrite the narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And tell you, because the stories you tell yourself can be so limiting. So if you switch those around just a little bit, whole new outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that's so great. And I think, the parenting, highly creative, how to navigate that, but also just the everyday things that we come across.
Every day, everything. And if you find yourself just really, really bored, try doing something else. Do your dishes while standing on your head. I don't know. Do them blindfolded.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Behind your back. I don't know. Just find something different, a different way to do something you do all the time.
Yeah.
Creative.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun to chat with you about creativity. And I have just one more question today. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
I think it feels, first it starts, because usually like I said, I need that grounding rod. So I think it starts a bit like a giddiness or a squirmy, wiggly, happy dance. And then once I step into it, it feels like I'm stepping out of time. There's this expansion, which is so funny. You talked about the contraction, but then I step into this expansion that it's like anything's possible. Willy Wonka will show up at any minute, give you everything you want. It feels, you almost feel invincible. It just feels like everything flows nicely and there's really obvious connections. It's a very happy, peaceful place.
Oh my gosh,
Satisfying.
all of those. Satisfying, yeah.
It feels right. It just feels right.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't want that?
Right? Exactly. I love asking people what it feels like to be creative because it's so different for everyone.
Yeah. Which is why all of our work is so different, right?
Absolutely. And how we use creativity differently in different career paths and avenues of our life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. This has been such a treat chatting with you. And if people want to learn more about what you're doing and what you're up to, how could they go about doing that?
Obviously, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. But best way to find me is my website, www.creatrixcompass.com, or you can Google Haden Starbuck. And I am constantly trying to figure out things to present for you so that you can help yourself with your creativity and help you get out of your way so that you can be creative. So that's my goal.
I love that. Great goal. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's fun.
And fun. Have fun doing it. Exactly.
I wander around trying to light people up. That's or get them to light themselves up, I suppose. But yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing all of the bits and pieces today. It's been such a treat.
For me as well. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.